Troy Arlitt, a senior student athlete at Axtell High School, has consistently demonstrated exceptional dedication, athleticism, and academic excellence through his high school career, contributing significantly to the Axtell District Champion football team in both 2023 and 2024, and earning his first team All-District wide receiver honors in 2024. And whereas Troy's athletic excellence spans multiple disciplines, including his achievement as a state qualifier in long jump in 2024, powerlifting in 2025, and his remarkable victory as a 2025 UIL state champion in long jump, reflecting his discipline, determination, and pursuit of greatness. And whereas, beyond his athletic accomplishments, Troy Arlitt has maintained strong academic standings and character as a member of the National Honor Society and the Fellowship Christian Athletes, exemplifying leadership, integrity, and a commitment to faith and service. And whereas Troy's achievements serve as a source of pride and inspiration for his school, teammates, and community, demonstrating that with perseverance, faith, and dedication, success is both attainable and meaningful. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the McLennan County Commissioners Court wishes to honor and proudly recognize Troy Arlitt for his outstanding achievements both on and off the field, celebrating his resilience, leadership, and unwavering commitment to excellence. And be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be made a permanent minutes of the McLennan County Commissioners Court. Witness our hand and seal, Judge Scott Felton, Commissioner Precinct 1, James Smith, Commissioner Precinct 3, Will Jones, Commissioner Precinct 4, Ben Perry, and yours truly, Commissioner Precinct 2, D.L. Wilson. Thank you.
Family, coaches, whoever can to accompany.
We're gonna get a copy to the school too, so we'll have that in school.
I have some friends in the meeting out there. Well, they really
Francis.
She's,
Step that way for a second.
Sorry, get out in the hallway.
This is perfect. Dad, just get your head over this. There you go. Perfect. Right there. Stay right there. Smile pretty. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Take your one. Okay. Judge, Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Smith, can you join us? Yeah, your choice.
Hey. Tried to grow up in the ground.
This way?
No, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Right there. So, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3.
All right.
Good job.
She's gonna put this in a frame for you.
So where are you going to go?
Oh, yeah. Guns up? Yeah.
She'll put it in Frankfurt and she's gonna have a copy. I'll then put it like in the hallway, like in the bathroom or something. I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
Put it somewhere nice.
Sure, before I sit down because I'm afraid he won't be there. You know, sit on the floor. I've had that happen before.
Y'all are welcome to stay for the Warriors, or y'all can go back to your lives.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all coming, and it's always great to recognize good young talent that future of our nation. So, congratulations to everyone. Tell everybody in Axtell hello.
Are we out of school? Are we out of school yet?
3 more days.
3 more days. Who's counting though, right? Congratulations.
Take care.
Thank y'all.
Take care. Nice to meet all y'all.
Look around. You got anybody can sign someone on the courthouse? Yeah, you want to do it? You got a second? I don't know if they want to or not. It's kind of neat. Look at a courtroom or something. We got to do
Tim will take care of us, Jeff. Like a pretty calm crowd.
I don't think, I think there's only one case, one trying today right now.
What day was gonna be Troy Arlitt,
County Court at Law, 2 or 3, I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
I got.
All right.
Thank you, Jackson.
Is there a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
I have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. All right, going to, under the consent agenda, the recommended pulls. One is E1B, which is a pull with no action. E3B is a HR matter for records management, and E3C is a HR matter for county sheriff. Is there any other pulls recommended by the court? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those pulls previously mentioned?
So move. Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. So, let's see. Terry? Yeah, Terry, come on up. All right, this is, under items, under item I-1A on page 9. This is, Waco Citizens Police, Academy Alumni Association, discussion and/or action regarding the funding, request. How are you, sir?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
Hi.
Appreciate y'all having me today.
You bet. Tell us a little bit about all this.
Well, I'm the president of the Waco Citizens Police Academy. What we do is promote the relationship between law enforcement and the public. We've been, we just graduated our 67th class, and we've hosted the state convention. This will be our 5th time, so we're not just real smart people, but anyway. We're bringing about 300 to 350 people to Waco, and like I said, this is for the 5th time. We'll be holding classes for 3 days at the convention center. Law enforcement as well as citizens are going to be involved with it. And like I said, our whole process is to promote the relationship between the police department and the public. And we've been doing that since Citizens Police Academy started in about 1992 in the U.S. So that's what our deal is. We call it bridging the gap between the public and the police. So
You're looking for some additional funding, and Dustin, you might explain, court, what we can and can't do.
Right. So anything, of course, as y'all are well aware, has to serve a county purpose. And so we can't just, we can't be a sponsor of an event, but if there is a specific component, whether it be training or if there's something in furtherance of the organization, such as training or another area, the court could enter into an agreement with the Citizens Police Academy, and then that agreement could spell out what that county purpose would be. It would have some reporting requirements that would come back to the county. But Francis, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. So legally, county cannot donate or have provide a sponsorship to an event or to an organization. But if the expense is stated explicitly, y'all can determine that does serve a county purpose. An agreement could be created that outlines that expense, the amount of funding, how it serves a county purpose, and any other requirements, like Dustin mentioned, reporting, those types of items.
Questions?
So training would work.
Yes.
we will have law enforcement officers there. They will receive T-close credit.
T-close credit.
Yes, sir, for their attendance. Now, they'll be from all over the state. I mean, literally be from all over the state, so. But they will have TCO credit. And also, I will mention that all the money that we're spending will be in the county, so.
Right. Is there an amount that you have in mind?
Whatever you can do will be appreciated.
Okay.
We understand. We have a donation letter. We could go anywhere from $100 to $10,000, so.
Yeah, I see that.
We would, of course, the more the better,
Yeah.
but we understand, so.
How much money do you usually bring in every year for like sponsorships or funds like this, you know?
Talking about, well, right now is for the convention. Right now, we're at, the convention's gonna cost around 80,000. I mean, I'm using real round numbers here.
Right, sure.
The convention's gonna run around $80,000, and right now, with registrations and everything, we're about, I believe, about $25,000 short of that right now. We've got other things going on. We're hoping to make up for that, so.
How much does the city of Waco, how much have they done a sponsorship or the? Waco Boys?
I believe they're planning on doing some sponsorship. We haven't actually got one from them yet. So they, of course, they put on the program for the citizens, and the citizens come from all over the county. They don't come just from the city of Waco.
Right.
But they, so they put on the program. And to be honest with you, we're pretty self-sufficient. We don't necessarily want to ask for a lot of money, you know. We raise our money. We just had a memorial race this weekend that we raised a little over $12,000, and that's going to be going toward the convention.
Oh, good.
And so we had right at 200 runners in it. And so we've always been pretty self-sufficient. But like I said, this is just a big ticket item and doesn't come around just every.
Yeah. How often do we have this in Waco? Or,
We have it, well, we have it in Waco, basically. We've been averaging having it here about every 6-7 years.
okay, good.
We started, our first convention was in 1998, our second one was in 2005, then 2012, then 2017, and now and then we had COVID and everything, and everything went out the door, so. But anyway, we're back at 2025, so we've been doing this all those years, so.
One suggestion would be for us to talk to City of Waco and kind of see what they do, and maybe we can piggyback on that if the court has an interest in doing that. I do like the fact that
That'd be
the
mine.
TCO.
That'd be mine. With the TCO training
Yeah.
component, I think that's fine.
That's where I
It
like to
serves
see it.
county purpose.
I'll get back.
You bet it does.
If the city of Waco is gonna do, we should match whatever the city of Waco does.
Okay.
Since there's-
All right, I'll call the mayor.
Do we have any of our deputies going to this or no? You know, yeah. Okay, okay. Okay.
We had, in 2017, Sheriff McNamara was a big part of our convention. He did some presentations for us and stuff.
Good.
And I'll just say that like I said, we appreciate whatever can be done, and I understand, whenever you're talking about I started talking with Judge Felton, I don't know, a while back, and I will say Cody's been wonderful to work with. She's something.
Yep.
I really appreciate her, so.
What is the deadline for getting something back to y'all, though?
Well, the convention is July the 6th. Well, so it begins on July the 6th. The first day is actually July the 7th.
Yeah.
But, you know, we'll take it up
Okay.
to, not really a deadline. We'll take it whenever you can give it. So, like I said, we appreciate whatever you can do. And like I said, after talking with y'all or Judge Felton's office and so forth, then I realized what the city and the county thing and all that kind of stuff. So I understand. So if you can help, it would be appreciated. So.
I'm good with seeing what Waco's doing, or I'm good with us making a decision, every which way we want to go. But I think we need to support it.
Yeah,
I originally was looking at the patrol level, which is anywhere from $2,500 to right at $5,000, so. But that's entirely up to the court, and if we want to wait and see what Waco's going to do.
it's up,
Go up or-
I mean, if you want to recommend an amount, we can vote on it, or we can, however you want to do it. It's,
Hear everybody else's opinion.
what do you think?
Leal?
Well, I think said he's about 12,000 short, so I think if we do the 5,000 or close to the 5,000, maybe City of Waco.
I'll call.
City of Waco is in our county.
Okay, I make a suggestion. Yeah, they support
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Plus, it's a convention.
Yes,
too. We work hard to get conventions here.
Sure.
and all, and we appreciate the work y'all are doing to put the convention together, because we benefit. We also get 2% of the hotel tax.
There you go.
And so it goes out to the base, the.
Venue.
Oh,
We have
yes.
to give it to that guy in the pink in the corner.
Okay,
He
okay.
spends it.
Did he bring you in here?
No, sir, but the base is really nice. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's really nice. The convention center works really good for us because of the 2 hotels right there. We're gonna have, we've got
Yeah, I
about
understand.
200 hotel rooms that'll be used.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, you know, it varies. But it's I would think a big bonus for the city of Waco. I don't know how much the city or the county considers how much each person brings into the town when they come, but.
We don't have to be labeled patrol badge.
No,
or guard rail.
we just.
No, no.
We don't put a sponsorship.
We
like that.
can't,
not
all we're
sponsored,
doing
it's
is,
training.
all we're doing is training,
Yeah,
paying for training.
yeah.
Right.
Would we get, I mean, I honestly, I like to see the McLennan County logo on your stuff, you know, when we do something like this.
I'm sure we could work something
That's-
out.
That's important.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's important for me.
Yeah, they
Well,
can
yeah.
put it as as a recognition, but not a sponsorship.
Right.
Well, we could put it, we were gonna have a convention booklet, talking about all the classes and
Yeah.
stuff. We could put a page in there saying that y'all, you know, supported us or something like that. We wanna keep it.
I make a motion to suggest that we have $5,000 for training purposes.
Okay,
Second?
have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. And I'll call City of Waco and be sure
Okay.
I'll find out what they're gonna give. If it's more, I won't say anything. Less, I'll tell them, or be sure they're playing.
And this is all private here. It's not broadcaster.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just between us.
We'll keep it quiet. And like I said, I don't know who you talk to, but, I mean, to be honest with you, we have one of our liaison officers, because we're all volunteers. That's
Yeah.
what we are. He said it's y'all's dime and y'all's time. So
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, we kind of fly under the radar because we raise money we can and we use what we can and so forth. So this is kind of the cost for putting this convention on has really ballooned over the last few years, and as y'all all know, so.
TICO training is important, and anytime an officer can get access to it, especially at the local level, that's
Well, about 10 years ago, our board met with Kim Vickers at a convention, and he approved it, and the new director, Mr. Stevens, I think his name is, will be at our convention this year for the first time.
Good.
So
Excellent.
they let it count for their
Yeah.
TICO training, so.
So a personal note on Terry, his grandfather was a windmill guy. And back in the old days, they had windmills, and they were replaced by submergible pumps. Now, and so if you had electricity. And so when he's a kid, had to crawl down there and put that submergible pump down.
Oh, wow.
the well.
Oh, wow.
Still doing it.
Yeah. And so we've been doing, knowing the Reimer Pump Company for a long
Reimer
time.
Pump, sure.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We appreciate y'all's support,
right.
and let me know if there's anything else you need from me, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, I'd like to jump to, let's see. I see Melinda here, K3. Hey, Bonds, if you'll come on up.
For seeing me again.
Yeah, good morning.
You jingle when you walk.
Oh, I do.
All right, this is K3 regarding the Texas Opioid Abatement Fund, Council Community. And basically, what has happened in the opioid settlement deal, there's pots of money put around for grants, and you have to go through the grant application. There is we ask Linda and Ryan and that group to help us put together a grant. It's not a huge grant, but we wanted to get our foot in the door. to be, because these dollars are gonna grow in that account, we think, and could be substantial. So Melinda, go ahead.
Sure, yes. Melinda Bonds, Heart Attacks and Behavioral Health Network. And so we do have an opportunity, like Judge said, it's a small grant, $68,196. And we are included in Region 16, which includes Bosque, Coryell, Falls, Hamilton, Hill, Limestone, and McLennan. And so in that area, we can have up to 5 applicants, by the way. I don't know who in the other counties are applying, but the money's sitting and it'll be redistributed if we don't utilize it. And so just kind of taking a look to see what we thought we might utilize the money for best use. We found that according to the CDC, McLennan County, we have about anywhere from 31 to 34 deaths per year from overdose. And so just to let you know, the CDC, they suppressed data on overdose deaths from 9 and under. So above 9, they count that. So the smaller counties in this regional area don't have that many, or they're not, the information is suppressed. There are overdoses in those smaller counties, but they're typically not at the scale that McLennan has. So the money does have to be spent on opioid abatement. And so our proposal is to provide medication-assisted treatment and education and awareness to healthcare providers, EMTs, law enforcement, and other first responders. Those are the individuals that are going to see opioid overdoses. Those are the individuals that are going to see folks that need the assistance first. So we feel like that would be a good strategy to provide the MAT education training to those individuals so that they can be prepared to address those areas. And also, we feel like it will also help our substance use providers in the area reach more individuals prior, more acute care needs.
Okay.
And so that's the grant proposal that we've put together, and that's due May the 29th.
Yeah, we didn't give you a lot of notice, but we didn't get a lot of notice either.
That's okay. We're kind of used to quick turnaround sometimes.
Yeah. All right, and this is basically to
Just ratify.
approve, kind of approve moving forward. Dustin, is that right? Or?
That's right. It's a letter of support on our end, and then there's also a commitment letter for the portion where they will be working with our health services department.
Okay. All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
You too.
All right, let's see. All right, I'd like to go to J1.
J.
All right, Dustin, if you want to talk about this.
Yes, sir. So this is J1. It's approval of final offer for the acquisition of right-of-way for Bullhide Creek Road Project. It's parcel number 1. So back on June 18th, 2024, we engaged Mike Millard at Millard Real Estate Advisors for the right-of-way acquisition for Bullhide Creek Road. What's before you today is the final offer. It's in the amount of $29,376, and it is based on a formal appraisal that was ordered. So we just need a motion to approve that. If there are any questions on this, Mike Dixon is online, and we can jump into executive session.
Well, it's one we've been working on, and we're glad we got something nailed down on it. So unless there's any question, I've got a motion. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second?
Have a motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank y'all. All right, Dustin, we want to go back to Mark is
I think we can
not
go back.
here.
Yeah, Mark will be, he just texted me, he'll be here about 10 o'clock. So if we want to move back up to those pools from the consent agenda.
All right?
And Judge, I know you mentioned E1B would be pulled with no action.
Yes.
Then moving down to E3, Human Resources. E3B is Records Management / Archives. Like to call on Anna.
Like to call on Alma.
We'd like to.
Okay, and she's gonna be doing both those, right?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
I don't think I see her online, Judge.
I don't either.
I'll text her.
Wonder what her due date is.
It's too early.
And Judge,
Yeah.
I'll send her a message so we can move on down to item G if that's okay.
It is okay, okay.
All right, under G, contracts and interlocal agreements. G1 is authorization of support and maintenance agreement with Excella Technologies for records management. I'd like to call on John Carter.
Morning.
This is just a yearly renewal for the maintenance contract on our enormous scanner over there. The maintenance agreement is with Excella for the Wixon Wilson scanner. It's $2,624.68, up from $2,476.11 last year. Term of agreement 6/5 of 25 to 6/4 of 26. It has been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay, any discussion?
Move to approve.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, under G2, we've got several here. Commissioner Smith is
Yes, sir.
brought in, so if you want to go over those.
Judge, with y'all's permission, I'd like to also add G7 because that's also another interlocal.
Yeah.
It's just kind of got scattered, but they're all interlocal agreements regarding either doing some work for them or they're piggybacking on some of our contracts for aggregate, different size aggregate for different purposes. So
Okay.
it's, my motion would be to approve G2A, G2B, G2C, and G7.
All right, any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve? I mean, he's made a motion, so is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, Dustin?
All right, G3 is regarding the agreement with Populous Incorporated, authorization of professional service invoice. This is for the architectural services, optimization and future development, market and financial analysis for the Heart of Texas Fair Expo Event Center. This invoice totals $24,000 and it covers those their services from February 1st through March 31st. It's been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
All right, anyone have any questions? Dustin's here. No questions. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right.
All right, moving on to item G4, authorization of immunization service agreement with Walgreens Company for hepatitis B vaccinations, and this can be deferred.
All right, I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
And I'm sorry, I forgot that Anna was going to be late, so she'll be joining court in a little bit, and we can go back to those other two items.
Okay.
So moving on to item G5 is authorization of memorandum of understanding with West Independent School District Police Department, communication and coordination with McLennan County Sheriff's Office. I'd like to call on Major Ives.
This is another ISD agreement, the 37081G. We've done several of these in the past. This is the same cookie cutter agreement that we have per the education code, and we're signing up for that with the West Independent School District.
All right, any questions?
Motion to approve, West ISD.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G6 is authorization of Financial Crimes Task Force Memorandum of Understanding, renewal with the Internal Revenue Service, criminal investigation. Major Ives?
This is an agreement that we already have in place. This is a renewal for it. This task force has led to some very impactful cases, not only for the citizens of McLennan County, but for the entire state of Texas. So we would ask that the court would renew this agreement.
All right, any questions for Major Ives? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the MOU.
Second?
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G8 is authorization of provider agreement with Leal Snacks LLC for market system for Highway 6 jail. Ken?
When we took Jack Carwell back over from LaSalle, we had a vending deal over there that's called a market. And it's basically items on shelves, and they offer fresh meal items like fruit and stuff like that. And it's a situation where we have a kiosk and people can load their money into this kiosk and buy things out of this market. It's been very successful over there. We did double check. We have two vending companies here in town. We checked with both of them. They both offer basically the same thing, but Leal's is the one that's been over in LaSalle for many years and has worked very successfully. And so we visited stronger with them and negotiated an agreement that we have in this packet right here with them. It costs no money to the county. It also provides no income for us either, but it's for the employees out there at jail that are kind of captured. They don't have time to go into town and buy a candy bar, which we can get out vending machine, understand, but it's the fresh items and stuff and just options for them rather than having to eat from the food service that we have out there or the vending machines we already have out there.
So it's basically, if they provide service of satisfaction to the employees out there that they, and the values. So what's the bid? I mean, when you go out to others, you talk about the price per item or anything like that, or?
Basically, that fell out to be virtually the same. So
Okay.
there wasn't a whole lot of difference in, like I say.
So but we're paying for the electricity and the internet.
Yes.
But does the internet, since we're already there,
Right.
doesn't make that go up? Right.
I did check with John. I think he said we have enough bandwidth, so that wouldn't be a problem. I know that they do have to maybe install some electric outlets on a wall that they've chosen to put this at. But other than that, that's all that's out for us. But
Well, to me, it makes sense to use the same company at both locations.
yes.
Yes.
We're talking, fewer intrusions, fewer people in and out, and all that's important in a jail setting.
Yeah, and I'll share, there's other things that they had in an agreement that I wouldn't agree to, but we worked through those, and I think that we have a good agreement here to work with.
So if it benefits the employees, I certainly support it.
Sure. Do the employees get to eat at the cafeteria now?
Yes.
Okay, our cafeteria,
Yes.
the jail's cafeteria.
They have their own little area in the Highway 6 jail that they set out food for. David can probably speak more about
We're
that.
okay.
He's
No,
on-
it's okay.
That's okay.
I just wondered.
All right, any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the agreement with Leal's.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
G9 is reauthorization of private switch agreement with McLennan County 911 Emergency Assistance District. This is just the annual reauthorization of this agreement, originally approved by court in 2018. This agreement states that IT will maintain the phone location records through an online database to ensure location of emergency calls will be properly identified for county departments. And there are no changes to the agreement, so we just need a motion to approve that reauthorization.
All right, I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G10 is authorization of interlocal cooperative agreement with City of McGregor for road reconstruction. And this is for the reconstruction of a portion of Wildflower Road. The city has agreed to pay the county a sum totaling $41,800 for that work.
Motion to approve the agreement with the city of McGregor.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G11 is authorization of video project agreement with AHC Creative Video Production Services for the Sheriff's Office recruitment campaign. This goes along with the budget amendment. Major Ives?
This is going to be, of course, no cost to the county directly. We're paying for this with forfeiture fund, and it's part of our ongoing initiative to try and fill slots and get qualified people in those slots for extended periods of time and create careers for people. So it is the video service that's going to go along with the recruitment campaign to include things like community engagement, podcasting, all of the things that we are just not super proficient at. So we're going to get a company to help us get spun up on those things so that we can produce professional content so that we can have a more successful recruitment campaign.
Will this be shown on the internet? I mean, where will people see the video, David?
Yeah, it's going to be served to people through the internet, through the website, through like Google AdSense, through Facebook marketing. So there's going to be several different locations that we're going to utilize these ads.
Okay, makes sense. Judge, motion to approve.
Second.
All right, have a motion second. Any discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G12 is authorization of agreement estimate with Lone Star Chiller Systems for the Heart of Texas Fairgrounds Extra Event Center chiller system maintenance. This also goes along with the budget amendment. TJ?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So before you have an agreement with Lone Star Chillers, this is for the annual PMs that we'll do on the chillers out there at Extra Coast. So this is something that we've reviewed. We definitely recommend it for approval. We don't want it to lapse any further than it already has. So we agree with these terms.
Okay, any questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
G13 is authorization of interlocal cooperative agreement with the city of Leroy for road work. Commissioner Jones?
This is an interlocal agreement with the city of Leroy for the chip seal of Casburg and Richer. The city agrees to pay the county a sum not to exceed $24,000. And I would make a motion to approve this agreement with the city of Leroy.
Second?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item H, capital improvement and construction projects. H1 is regarding the McLennan County Highway 6 jail roof project. Authorization of application for payment number 6, final from the roof company Waco LLC. Ken?
Yes, sir. This pay application is in the amount of $61,922.80. This is paying their retainage. This project is complete. I do want to point out on the front page pay application, it doesn't show it, but in this project, we were afraid there might be some surprises. So we had a built-in $100,000 contingency, which was probably way too high, but we didn't find any surprises, so there was none. So they actually dropped that out on the certification for payment sheet. Second sheet, it shows the deduction of $100,000. So that's how come on the original contract sum, it's $100,000 less than what we approved for the project. So anyway, TJ and I have looked at this. TJ does agree that this project is complete And so this should be good for your approval.
Okay. All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve. Go ahead.
Motion to approve the application for payment.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H2 is regarding the Justice of the Peace Precinct 5 Office Edition fee proposal from CPNY doing business as STV, authorization of professional services invoice for March 2025. Ken?
Yes, this invoice is in the amount of $1,826.50, and it's for the final designs of the, for this project. I will share that I have received the final plat forms, and I've received from them the final specifications. I started working on the bid for this project last Friday. I'm working on a rough draft right now and hope to have that approval of advertisement next court. I am working through it, and hopefully that will be
Get it going finally.
going here quickly. But just wanted to share that. So anyway, we've reviewed this request for the pay application, or this invoice, and it should be good to go.
All right. Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the invoice.
Second.
All right, a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H3 is regarding Chapel Road improvements, agreement with Kasperian Underground, doing business as H&B Contractors, authorization of application for payment number 15. This application for payment totals $558,686.60. It's for work on the roadway improvement, then also on that water line improvement portion of this project. Amy has reviewed this and it is recommended for approval.
Motion to approve the pay application number 15.
Second.
All right, and second, we have a second?
Yes, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, moving on to item I, budget amendments. I1 is regarding the FY25 budget. Francis?
So I know we already covered I1A, so I'll start with I1B and go over the budget amendments. So I1B is in the general fund for the county judge's department. This is to increase the line item for guardianship services from contingencies. The reason for this budget amendment is that we do have a special revenue fund that specifically covers these types of charges. We have exhausted that fund. So we've spent all we can from that special revenue fund. So we're coming back to general fund to complete the year. And so we're needing to increase that line, and we'll balance the budget for 2026 between general fund and special revenue funds as needed.
Okay, any questions on that? I mean, since it's in my budget, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to take a stab at them. All right.
I have to do it.
What do we do on that guardianship service?
So,
Maybe explain that a little
when
bit.
there's a guardian, that, we're going through a guardian proceedings, it could be an elderly person or whatever, but, generally they're indigent. And we have to, judge on, their competency and all those things. Well, we have to hire, you have to hire an investigator, sometimes two,
Right.
do that. And then, like Friends for Life does many of these things for us, so we'll pay them to assist us in this. And so it's that piece of the population that we have to deal with, so.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay. So then I1C, this is a certification of revenue. This is an interlocal agreement with the city of Golson in the amount of $1,704 for work that was completed. And then there's an attached budget amendment that matches up with that revenue. And so the request is to increase road construction materials by that same amount in Road and Bridge 3. I1D1, this is for recording purposes, this is a budget adjustment to the federal treasury forfeitures held by the sheriff's office. And so the adjustment is just between two lines, other services and charges and software licensing. And then I1D2, this is also a recording, and I apologize. The first one was state forfeiture funds. I-1D2, this is federal treasury forfeitures, and there's an adjustment within that budget between other services and charges and capital outlay. And then I-1D3, this is general fund capital outlay. This is a request from the sheriff's office. This amount specifically that we are increasing the budget by is for an oven. And so I know that the sheriff's office provided a packet of information describing the need for that, but they are available if questions come up. But that is for an oven package with the necessary equipment, freight, installation. And they have found pieces throughout their department's budgets to accommodate that purchase. I-1E, this is Fund 401, the Permanent Improvement Fund. This amendment is increasing the line item for the Heart of Texas Fairgrounds capital improvements. And this is the additional amount needed for the portable stalls that you approved on a previous agenda. I-1G, this is General Fund Road and Bridge, General Fund Road and Bridge 3. No, I-1F, let's try this again. I-1F, this is General Fund Heart of Texas Fairgrounds. This is an increase to the repair and maintenance line for that department, moving from contingencies, and this is specific to chiller system maintenance that needs to be done. And then I-1G, this is General Fund Road and Bridge 3, requesting to move within their department into furniture and equipment for the purchase of an ice machine. And that concludes the budget amendments, I-1B through I-1G.
Okay, any questions on any of those? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve I-1B through I-1G.
All right, I'll second that. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right, under I-2 regarding the FY26 budget. Francis?
We have one other item, I-1H, under the budget,
Oh, I'm sorry, sure do.
and I can cover it if you need me to.
Yeah, go
It is an
right ahead.
invoice from Hot Cog, and this is for Area Agency on Aging for fiscal year 25. The request is $8,892.81, and this was included in the 25 budget.
All right, any questions on that? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Okay,
Then I-2 is regarding the FY26 budget.
And I have a presentation, if that's okay to
right.
start into that. I'm going to share my screen. So we have had some discussions on some previous agendas on, where we ended 2024, what 2025 looks like. And so today we just want to touch base and let you know where we are in the budget development process. Also some updates related to tax rate planning, and then just wanted to touch on processes, statutes that drive these procedures, preliminary values, our fiscal policies, and so just what we have upcoming. And please stop me at any point in this if we want to segue to anything else. And so these are just pre-July sessions that we had planned on. We can always add more if we need to, of course. But today, we wanted to focus, again, like I just said, processes, statutes, preliminary values and rates, and then review our goals, policies, priorities, just moving into July. And then on June 3rd, our plan is to provide to you what we have called the budget binder in the past. And so that gives you some more detailed data and history about budget decisions you've made, both financial and personnel. And so I think that's good to remind us what has occurred over the last years, but also I think will help in making decisions through the 2026 process. So that is what is to come. And I know I reiterate these each time, but just want to again highlight this so it's very transparent. So officially, we'll kick off budget workshops on July 1st, which is that first regular agenda in July. There's a holiday at the end of that week. I don't think we'll really get into a lot of detail because, of course, we'll have a regular agenda to get through as well. But we'll just touch on it, look at kind of the big picture, just see where our discussions go. Bless you. But then we will come back after the holiday, of course, and we'll continue our budget workshops through the month. July 25th is important. That is the deadline for the appraisal district to provide the certified roll to us. And then on the calendar, we have July 29th as the date that you will vote on the proposed tax rate, and we will file the proposed budget. And so then that starts all of the timelines, hearings, publications. But we have, if necessary, the tax rate public hearing on August 19th, and then budget public hearing and adoption of budget and tax rate on August 26th. So I think just going over this and making it very clear just continues to make this process transparent and allows the public, if they do want to input into this process, there's always those opportunities at the beginning of each meeting, as well as the hearings. The budget and tax rate process, of course, is guided by various chapters and sections of the local government code and the tax code. And so it is, of course, essential that we follow all of the legal requirements. And so those involve notices and hearings and the adoption procedures. And so these are just kind of a very vague list of the topics that are covered and where those are found. But a lot of it, especially compensation, is spread throughout multiple codes. To review our tax rate definitions, so it's important, of course, for us to understand what they are. I know these are very watered down definitions, but I think just understanding the concept of them when you're asked questions by taxpayers, it's good just to be able to, let them know quickly what each, in summary, what is involved in the calculation of each rate. So no new revenue rate. So that, of course, is the rate that it produces the same amount of taxes on the same properties that were available in that prior year. And so it is really intended to keep tax revenue stable year after year. The voter approval rate, that is the maximum rate you can adopt by law. And there is a calculation that includes, after the no new revenue rate is calculated, it's 3.5% above that, but there is an unused increment rate that adjusts that rate as well. And that 3.5% can be banked over 3 years, and it's a rolling 3 years. And so we have now been over 3 years into this new rate calculation, and so we have rolled that for multiple years, which has allowed our voter approval rate to be much higher than our no new revenue rate. And then the unused increment rate, like I just said, that is a 3-year rolling sum of the difference between what we actually adopt and the voter approval. Public hearings. So if our proposed tax rate exceeds the no new revenue rate by any amount, you have to have a public hearing on that tax rate. In some prior years, even though it wasn't necessary, we've still continued to have that tax rate hearing. And so definitely we can talk about that later if you choose to do so, but mandatory if you propose above no new revenue. For the budget hearing, it is mandatory regardless. And so, of course, that just ensures that the public at least has one opportunity to speak at a hearing. And then all hearings are properly noticed to meet all of the statutory requirements. So to look at some figures, and I want to be very clear, This is preliminary. These are preliminary taxable values. They are preliminary rates. So these will change and fluctuate, of course, until July 25th, when the values are certified and the rates are recalculated. But if you look at the far right side in the two blue boxes, so currently that preliminary taxable value is 30.7 billion. So that's the preliminary certified taxable value. If you look at some of the reports that come from the appraisal district, you'll see different numbers, but this is the number that after exemptions are removed and TIF and TERS amounts and lots of adjustments, then this is the amount that we calculate the levy upon.
So it's been run through the worksheet then?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'll shoot that out to y'all after I get back to the office today. So 30.7 billion preliminary, and so that box right below it, based on that amount, your no new revenue rate 295515, your voter approval rate 389026. And so those light blue arrows in the middle, if you want to compare that to the current year we're in, currently 28 billion was our certified taxable values at the date of adoption last summer for this current year. And then our current tax rate, current year, is that 319,805. So you'll see how that relates to the new no new revenue rate and voter approval rate.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Judges, to your knowledge, anything in Austin, coming out of Austin right now, that's going to affect any of this?
Well, there probably is gonna be some of the big ones that doesn't look like they're gonna pass, that would have unfunded mandates with them. But, so on June the 2nd is their last, it'll all be baked at that time, I guess. And, so we'll know before we get into the budget what actually filters out into there. And, you know, our limitation on selling CEOs and those things are, I think, may not get through. But when Mark comes here in a little bit, he can speak to the legislation that might affect our ability to finance. Yeah. But I don't know unless, Francis, you know of anything.
No, I think like you said, until we get down to June 2nd, you know, I guess
Yeah.
anything could happen. I know for Mark, I know can talk a little bit more specifics, but I know that bill that would affect the CO bonds, if approved, would go into effect September 1st, 2025. And so, I know that's
And that's
the
why we
importance of
said.
the timing of
Yeah.
That's why we're in
these.
high gear mode.
Yeah, we're in high gear mode, is a good statement, so.
How long has it been since we've had a voter approval rate? We haven't.
We haven't, since I've been here, we never had one.
No.
We've never gone to the vote. We went right below the voter approval rate
Right.
in 2013.
Yeah,
To get ourselves back in.
Get ourselves
sync.
back in
we were out of
balance.
balance, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The only thing we went to the voters on was the venue, and that we could tax hotel rooms to service some debt. And we sold the bonds, and that's well servicing the debt that we'll go over later. But
Also the zoo.
yeah, you're right, zoo, and both of them.
2020?
I know the
Voter approved.
venue program passed at like 68% pass. And then the zoo, I forget what it was.
About this in the 60s for sure.
Yeah, it was strongly.
Something good choices on
Yeah.
that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to relate those two preliminary rates to what the levies would look like in comparison to our current year, if you look at that very center column that's titled current rate, so that 319,805 current tax rate, the total levy, and that includes for M&O plus INS for debt service. So that is all of our funds together, but right over 98 million was the total levy to be collected, of course, current and delinquent. And so then over to the left, that preliminary no new revenue rate, that would produce a levy of 90.7 million. And so, and this is on next year's, of course, preliminary values. And then the voter approval, a little over 119. So there is a very $30-ish million range between no new revenue and voter approval rate there. So very wide gap there between the two. The bottom, that increase in levy, that is over our current year. So if you were just to keep the current rate, our ad valorem tax revenue would increase by about 8.5 million. But going to the no new revenue rate, just a little over $1 million.
What did it
So
increase
very-
last year
From the prior year?
from the prior year?
I'll have to pull that up. I don't have that readily available, but I'll pull this same comparison and I'll send that out to you. I want to say it was similar numbers.
Similar number?
Maybe a little lower, but,
We've moved up in bracket, but I think the gap was pretty close. But I will pull those exactly so that we can look at those.
What is 1 cent? What's the 1 cent?
So 1 cent. So if you take,
Is it the 30.7
yes. So if you
divided
take
by 1,000?
divided by 100,000
100,000?
or 100
Yeah.
to. Sorry, I had this calculated earlier and I've.
So it's about $3 million?
Yeah.
Yes, for every penny.
Yeah, 3.07 million, yeah.
Could be.
That's easy.
we need to keep it easy.
Yeah.
So there, I think, very, very simplified, but just gives you a glimpse of current rate, no new revenue rate. I know the voter approval rate is not usually something we even dabble in at this point in time, but just so you can see. All right. So getting away from the numbers more and looking more just at our goals, our policies, what is driving our budget and the decisions that you make. So we review our goals and policies annually, and we've been doing that for maybe about, I don't know, getting close to 10 years now. But we really want those to help you guide your financial decision-making through all of these processes. They also just help ensure that taxpayers' dollars are aligned with your priorities, and it should be a clear reflection of your priorities, should be a clear reflection of what budget is adopted and what tax rate is adopted. You should also be able to defend any decisions that you make, whether they be budget or tax rate, by bumping them up to your adopted goals. And then we, of course, want to regularly evaluate, are we meeting those goals operationally, financially? And so, doing that, how do we prove that up? And I think each year when we go back, why did we budget this way? Did we use a new strategy? What does that look like? And so we had some different strategies we used last year, and I think they've really panned out and shown to be valuable. So we'll keep reviewing those, and then sometimes, it may not work. And so we'll just keep adjusting those strategies each year as we work through the workshops.
Okay.
So the first policy, which we always focus on, of course, heavily, is our general fund reserves policy. So our goal is to maintain a minimum of 33% of operating expenditures. So that is what we strive to be our general fund reserves. So it ensures we're prepared for emergencies, if there was a loss of revenue, some sort of revenue disruption. And so just a couple sentences there, but that is what we're focused on a lot during the budget workshops and the discussions. And so helps us create that strong foundation financially by having those reserves, but also creates a stable credit profile for us. And so in talking about debt issuances and things like that, that's a really important and something that we've strived to keep up. And I know that is looked at each time we go out for a new debt issuance. I think in addition to this, and we can adjust these policies, they're your policies, so we can add to them, we can change them. But something that we've discussed is, it says we would use this for emergency type situations, loss of revenue, but how would we do that? And so we could add something to make that more clear, but, outside of your budget, the only way to use that fund balance that hasn't been budgeted for the year, of course, is to declare some sort of emergency. And so that would need to be declared by the court and voted on. And then that would allow you to pull from those reserves if needed.
And,
Of course,
you don't have to do this today, but when we get into it, and we talk about, that, you might give some examples of emergency, just so everybody have a good understanding about what all's in that category.
Perfect.
I
We will
mean,
do
public
that.
safety, things like that.
Yes. So we can kind of expand this policy to be more specific about those instances. And then, of course, if it's something we are anticipating, we are going to have there's some revenue that we're losing, then you can include that in the budget. And of course, then you do not have to declare emergency to use anything that you have actually budgeted for, so.
Now say that statement again.
If you were anticipating something, an emergency is not something you usually anticipate, but if it is something that you're going to have an extraordinary need, we could just include it in the budget, of course. And so then, per the budget laws, you can always spend that. So we would draw down on those reserves by adopting the budget, including that drawdown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think one
usually
other thing is when we put a dollar placeholder, we still need to have a good idea
Yes.
about what's the maximum that could be.
Yes.
What's the impact of it?
Yeah, and I see the usefulness of a $1 placeholder on smaller deals, but not on bigger deals.
And I think if you do that on a bigger item, putting that placeholder, but maybe increasing contingencies by an estimate, that would allow it to come to y'all again before.
That's right, that's the
spending.
way to handle it, yeah. And the court still has the ability to say, nope, we're not doing that.
Correct.
But if it made sense and the court agreed, then you'd already approved it in the contingency.
I agree, the $1 placeholder bothers me a little bit, but I understand the need for it. But when we do it, I'd like for us to have a kind of a range or a ballpark idea of what will cost us if we replace it with actual cost.
I
And maybe
agree.
this year, when we get to the end of, because we talk about it a lot and it gets kind of lost in conversation, we get to the end of the process, pull all the placeholders
Yeah, that's good.
on one sheet, and
Yeah.
you can all talk
Good
through
idea.
those. And
Good idea.
Yeah, great idea.
Great idea.
we'll make sure we get that. So this is a cookie cutter policy per se, balanced budget. But balanced budget, of course, means that our revenues plus any prior unassigned fund balance covers expenditures for the year. But just good to have in place and to have that outlined through our documentation. So of course, we always aim to avoid funding ongoing operations with one-time revenue sources. And so I think there's usually discussion when there's a grant that's going to cover operational, it's not just a one-time expense, they are ongoing operational expenses such as personnel. We just want to, heavily scrutinize that and make sure that eventually if that funding falls off, that you're able to cover it with other sources of revenue.
Yeah.
Our mission statement, so our mission is, I won't read through it, but our mission's centered on providing the essential services that a county provides through transparent, responsible leadership. And so in summary, it states that you value equity, fairness, and financial sustainability. And so that should be driving all of your decisions that you make as a court. Our vision statement. So we strive for innovation, operational excellence, and then top-tier service delivery, the services that you are to provide as a county. And of course, through that, even though we want to provide high-quality services, responsibility financially, of course, is at the core of all of those decisions. So we want to balance those out. These are organizational goals, and these are all goals, policies that you have adopted throughout the years. Just these are the same ones we've been seeing over the years.
If we don't like them, it's our fault.
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's 6 goals here, and to summarize, they provide us our foundation, what we build our strategy on, and so your goals are to provide well-being for the citizens, public safety, protecting the environment, empowering civic engagement, fiscal discipline, and efficiency and productivity. So some of those same ideas that have been the theme through a lot of these policies. But all of your budget allocations, and anytime you evaluate a new program or something new a department wants to do, bouncing them off of these goals and making sure it fits within one of these organizational goals, I think is important for transparency. So something different this year, we talk about priorities a lot when we get into the workshops, and I know verbally, we all, through the discussions, you all may state something that is your priority, or as a court, you may have priorities, but I think this year, if we, at the beginning of our discussions, if we outline our priorities, and I know we won't all have the same list, but really putting those priorities in an order that when you make decisions, you can look at that priority list and see where they fit. I know that's sometimes easier said than done. And so those were some examples up there. These are in no particular order whatsoever. But I think after this meeting and before we, meet again or meet in July, if there's other priorities that we'd like to add to this list or completely X this list and start over, and then as a court, maybe talk through those and see if what you all see as priority and how those rank in a listing. Just thought maybe decision-making that might be
Would
beneficial.
one of those lists include what we are required legally to provide, very basic?
Oh, I think for sure. So our baseline service, providing baseline services.
Provisions that the county is required
Yes.
to provide.
Yes. Yeah, this was just kind of some
statute.
examples I threw out there. So yes, no. So you all, if you just want to throw me some ideas of things you'd like to add in there, and then we can talk through it and just make sure we're all on the same page as we talk through all of the requests and the tax rate scenarios.
I think you'd be quite surprised at the definition between mandatory and discretionary.
Agreed.
Some pretty interesting, there are some interesting,
Yeah.
there are some interesting things that are, you wouldn't think of.
There's some mandatory things we can take some discretionary look at,
I guess so, yeah.
something like that.
Unfunded.
Yeah.
Mandatory, unfunded, mandatory.
And so earlier on in this discussion, I talked about, setting goals, but then, constantly going back. I mean, if we don't go back and see if we met our goal, then it's really no purpose in setting one. So constantly tracking those decisions you make and, did it work, did it not? And so I'm going back to last year's budget sessions, the 2025 budget sessions. And so just, there were a lot of things, but these were just some of the highlights that I noted. And so you made some key moves that I think were really important, and we'll be probably pushing through to future years. So you standardized utilizing personnel lines for other expenditures. So we actually adopted a policy, a budget amendment policy, and in there it stated that personnel line items would not be used to fund other operating lines, non-personnel operating lines. And so we saw that those surplus funds were being moved to completely other different categories. And that was not their original intent. Of course, you always have that opportunity to use personnel money for whatever line item you want. But just as from a department's perspective, we wanted to set that standard.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
We put a lot of scrutiny on unfilled positions that's carried over each year and what that is, and not to completely eliminate it, but to make sure it's realistic and that we're not budgeting for things that never happen, because we have too many things that have to be budgeted.
Yes,
Yeah.
budgeting realistically. And
Yeah. Yeah.
You also updated all of the salary structures, and so I know, of course, last year that was a new discussion, and so I know this year HR will be reviewing that with you. But there was the core structure for all employees outside the sheriff's office, and then the sheriff's office structures. So those have both been implemented and are currently being utilized. And then you redefined some strategies related to budget. And so one of those we kept referring to as a vacancy factor, and this is directly related to what the judge was just mentioning. So we looked at, historically in total, what are we coming under budget in certain areas? And one of those largest areas is personnel. And so we budgeted at a 96% rate across the board. And you're gonna have some departments that spend 100% and some that spend 85. But in the end, looking at it in total, it is going to fall a little below that 96%. So, and we'll revisit that now. Where do we have vacancies? And then see what we wanna do for 2026. Okay. And then, of course, we've been doing this for all, but just identifying any historically over budgeted areas. So we go through line by line, look at the history. If departments are continuing to ask for the same budget but not spending it, there needs to be either a very good reason why for next year, or we discuss with them decreasing that request to a more reasonable amount. And so that's all being done, of course, before those numbers are brought to you. And so, of course, those changes, just more accurate, more realistic budgeting and predictions. Of course, it's all just a forecast. Can't budget 100%. But then just, I think it keeps us fiscally responsible as well. Keeps departments' budgets in check. So again, just if there's anything else you want to talk about, let me know. But what we have coming up next, we are hoping we will have the budget worksheets all ready for you to view roughly around June 16th. And so we are continue to compile those budget requests, and we're having meetings with departments. We work closely with human resources and pass information back and forth on what the personnel requests are. And so just trying to put together those budget worksheets that you're used to seeing each year. I'm hoping very, very quickly, maybe by the end of this week, that I could send out a tentative but more detailed July calendar. So on what day we'd talk about personnel, what day we're going to talk about capital outlay. That is all fluid, as we all know. Those things get changed around. But just to have some idea of what those days look like. So again, hope to get that to you this week, if not very, very quickly. Budget binder we mentioned earlier. So we should have that for you, the first agenda in June. And so I'll go through some highlights of that, but there's a lot of data in there, a lot of historical trends on budget information, tax rates, personnel, big picture items. I think that will help decision-making wise going into workshops. And then I would encourage you just to look through the budget document from last year. There's a lot of good information, of course, all the budget lines, but at the beginning, there's a lot of summary information on trends. But in the back section, as you remember a few years ago, we've added a whole section that each department has given us a narrative of their goals, their accomplishments, things that worked and didn't work for them for each year. And so I think departments worked really hard to help us compile all that information. So some of that information may be helpful as you go through their budget request as well. So that's homework that you don't have to do, but. So that's all I have today. So again, just high level, but just getting us prepared for July.
Thank you, Francis, and I encourage everyone to go back and look at that schedule on that, when we're down and dirty on the budget, those dates in July, and really try to be here. There's always things that may come up that would prevent a commissioner from coming during a meeting, but we'll try to accommodate that. But if you can, really focus on those.
And when will you have those firmed up? You said those July dates and times?
I hope by So we already know that week of July the 7th and the
You've already
week of July
given us-
14th,
Right.
we are going to meet or the plan is to meet Tuesday through Friday. Some days here and there, maybe Wednesday morning's not, but Tuesday through Friday of those 2 weeks. So those should be our two heaviest walking through requests, looking at scenarios. Those should be the heaviest discussions. And I'm really confident that we can get through most everything.
Yeah.
You will then step away for your conference,
Conference,
and then
and
we'll
then
come
come
back
back
that last week. We'll revisit anything you want to, and then we'll move forward with proposing the budget. And again, it's the proposed budget. We can continue to work through August before we adopt, but that's the plan.
Okay. All right, any questions for Francis? If not, is there a motion to approve her report for recording purposes?
So move.
Second?
Have a motion second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, passed. I'd like to take a few minute recess, and then we'll start with Mr. McLennan. And then also Chris Collins will be here shortly to give a economic development report. So I'd like to recess for, let's say, 5 minutes, is that enough?
Recording stopped.
Thank you all.
call court back to order. All right, Mark, you want to come on up? I want to go to item M6, and Mark McLennan will be making a presentation to us about a resolution authorizing and approving publication of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation.
Thank you, Judge. Commissioners, as you know, we were here 2 weeks ago, going through the projects and getting permission to proceed for the notice of intention resolution for certificates of obligation for an amount not to exceed $30 million. So that was just getting permission to proceed. Today is your first legal action on the item. The Certificate of Obligation Act requires a resolution which will be published in the legal paper as well as put on your website that outlines the amount not to exceed and what projects you are intending to spend the money on. It sets the sale date also. So what that's going to do is going to set us up for a July 15th sale. This is not selling the obligations today. This is giving the county residents notice that you intend to do it on July 15th. On July 15th, we will be here and we'll be receiving or getting interest rates from prospective bidders or buyers of the bonds, and we will present that to Commissioners Court. Assuming that is something that you want to take action on and approve, that is when you actually go into debt. So today is just letting your citizens know that you intend to borrow an amount not to exceed $30 million for the set improvements that are listed there in the resolution and what we went over last week, or 2 weeks ago. With that, I'll address any questions you may have.
All right, questions? As he stated, it's up to 30 million, and if something changes between now and then it could be under that, but not to exceed that either, so.
Correct.
Questions?
If we get to that date to vote on actually, I guess becoming indebted or issuing debt, and things don't look favorable, can that be postponed, or how does that work?
That's a great question, Commissioner. And that has occurred. If you might remember when Lehman Brothers went broke, that was on a weekend, or when they announced, or Bear Stearns, and I had a sale on Monday. Rates were 9% when we were expecting 4% because no one knew where the market was. So it was tabled and turned down. In this instance, you can elect to push it back to the next meeting. Once you go more than the next meeting, then this notice, because you're saying what date it is.
Right.
So if people are here and are here to protest on the 15th and it's pushed back, well, maybe you're allowed to do it one meeting. It's tough to do it for multiple meetings. Otherwise, the Attorney General, which by the way approves all debt issuances in the state of Texas, so we look like we're trying to circumvent the voters to keep them from being there when we approve the obligations.
Okay.
So long answer to your question, yes, it can be postponed if rates do not look favorably, because it could affect your tax rate. If all of a sudden we're expecting to sell these at 4.5% and we get rates of 8%, well, that you can't meet that debt requirement. So we'd want to table it and probably come back 2 weeks later. Again, it's allowed in this instance, but it wouldn't be allowed to kick it down to 6 or 7 months. We'd have to start over.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But it is important to note you are not obligated, you're not setting down debt until the 15th. And that's when you make that decision.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And go over the publication, where would be, where the publication would be available.
So the publication goes into the legal paper of the county, or papers. And it's published 46 days prior to, at least 40, it has to be published at least 46 days prior to selling, both prior to that July 15th, 2 weeks in a row. It will also need to be put onto the county's website for everybody to see. So I'm not exactly sure which newspaper the court uses for its legal publications, probably the Waco News. So it'll go in 2 weeks in a row. And from that point, 46 days. So it just happens that we'll just set it up basically 60 days, so it falls on a commissioner's court date.
Okay. Other questions?
Mark, what rate are we looking at? I know we went over this at the last meeting, but
If we sold a week ago, I would have been saying 4.25.
yeah.
It's going to be slightly higher now. You may have seen that the
Yeah.
Moody's downgraded the federal government. That followed, I didn't realize it was that long ago. Standard & Poor's did it in 2011. Fitch did it in 23. And now Moody's lowered us from AAA to AA1, which is their one notch below the AAA. Municipal bonds follow treasuries. So it ticked up. Interest rates ticked up because of that. Our rating, interestingly enough, is the same as the federal government's now. We can't go out and print money. They can, but we have to balance our books. I was listening to what Francis was talking about, our fund balance policy and those things. That gets us to the same bond rating as the federal government, which is pretty phenomenal. But we should be well under 4.5%. Again, we've talked about tariffs before and what that did to interest rates. The market became illiquid for a period of time, and rates, and to your point, Commissioner Smith, we might not want to have accepted those interest rates at that time. So we do want to retain that flexibility. Today, maybe 4.35% ballpark.
Would there be like a ceiling, or do we just want to play it by ear? Or?
I think your court, I mean, we'll be coming in here with rates. And I think you all, if it's 5% or 5.25, we'll have to sit and say, and I don't think it'll happen from Monday to Tuesday. I'll be briefing the court as we get closer if things are looking crazy, because, you know, maybe then we pull it down to 20 million. But at this time, that 4.5% looks like a good rate. That's where we've been running numbers. I don't see, again, anything can happen, but I don't see much fluctuation in the next 60 days there.
Is that the 30 million, is that common for a county our size?
It's been all from 10 to, I don't know if we've done a 30, have we?
For, like, we have the PFC bond.
Oh, yeah.
And then the venue project bond, those were
Yeah,
a little
big
bit higher,
project.
30,
Yeah.
35.
And this is we have to put it, and it's generally pretty broad,
Yeah. with a-
description on what all we can put the money on. It has to be long-term
Yes, sir.
improvements and those kind of things, but, and then, I guess the other thing to consider is, which we will, is try to figure out how fast it would take you selling a bond so the interest rate starts that day. You're not gonna spend all that money on day one. You're gonna be spending it over time.
Yes, sir.
And scheduled out. So what is that money gonna earn while you're carrying that cash piece of it until it's spent? And so it could be a carrying cost, but we've actually got into arbitrage where we were earning more money on the cash than the debt was. But Francis assured us that wasn't all bad. So
No, that's
It's invested to its full potential.
And Bill tends to call and has several places that he puts those funds.
Yeah.
The county treasurer, and right now, because the yield curve is somewhat flat, you can invest close to the rate you would be paying.
Yeah.
And one, we have to spend the money down. The federal government doesn't let us make more than what we're paying, but the closer we can get, the better off you are.
Yeah.
And the bond, those interest earnings go with the project. So if 2 years down the road, this $30 million, while it was invested, made $1.5 million, that goes to those projects that are staying on that list. It helps cover cost overruns or furniture, fixtures, and that type of stuff.
Right. Okay.
And our indebtedness is pretty low compared to,
Yes, you would be considered a low-debt county, well-managed, frugal, without, that's why we have that bond rating too.
Reserves.
Reserves.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wilson brought up, is this a lot for a county? It's a lot for us because you tended not to borrow and do a lot of pay-as-you-go and wait until you have opportunities. But compared to other counties of your size, you would be considered very low.
I think we went with this number because it was pretty close to what we could maximize at current INS rates.
Right.
And concern about what was happening or could happen 90 miles to the south.
Yeah.
And to touch on that a little bit, one of the bills Francis and I were talking about was HB 19 that could prevent you from doing. That looks like it's dead in the water. Which is good news. Now, what some of the bill's supporters are trying to do is work them into other bills. Sure. And so I'll use this word for another client. I said, this is a pretty good defensive position to be in. We move projects for next year that we know we have into this year. And so by being defensive and being able to manage it under the existing tax rate, we're protecting ourselves in case that something gets in that bill. Because if we started in July 1st or July 15th, we couldn't get it done in time. So this is the defensive position to be in. Next year, maybe by the time we sell it, we know that it won't be effective, but we don't know where we're going to be 2 years from now. So it gives you another 2 years to kind of work through the market, knowing that these projects are there regardless.
Right.
Well, we've got projects and we'll always have projects.
Yeah, we do, and, low water crossings, bridges, those things.
All
are
of those.
Big deals, and we see what the roofing jobs cost and all those kind of things.
HVACs and.
Yeah, and all that, so,
there's a big project right out behind us too.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
got to be finished,
Yeah,
and
we
I
just-
think that's where.
there is a little bit that we have short on it, so.
Can I make one other comment?
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure it was clear. So those preliminary tax rates we looked at earlier, the INS portion of that rate included the estimate that Mark had provided the last time he was with us. So that was baked into that as well. And like we know that it's going to fluctuate, but that estimate for debt service for the new max 30 million, it was in that rate.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions or comments?
Well, as a freshman commissioner, I appreciate y'all letting me ask questions and get you
bet.
up to speed, and y'all are training me very well. Thank you.
Well, then, anything else? And I think you'll learn that to put Francis on speed dial.
Yes, sir.
That's right. She knows my number right
And
now.
it's even better to go over to her office and sit down.
She got any goodies over there?
Well,
She might have some goodies.
Jess said. All right. At this time, what is the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the resolution authorizing the publication of notice of intention to issue certificates of obligation.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Be careful on the highway.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'd like to go to, for our economic development report, go to items M8A, M8B, and B1 for the supplemental agenda. So, morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Doing great.
Good to see you. gotta take my glasses off so I can read. So what you have in your packet is our March Economic Development Activity Report, along with our first quarter inWaco digital talent campaign report as well. So we'll go over the economic development report first, and then I'll tackle the inWaco side of it. Overall, we're seeing a lot of great activity in the market still. It was an interesting thing, if you'll recall, when I was here on tax day last time. There was a lot of uncertainty about what's happening in the marketplace. I would say that is still, there's still questions that are happening right now. But at the end of the day, companies know that, especially international companies, know that, that the United States is the market for their opportunities for growth, and they're going to figure out how they're going to do that. They're just waiting on the rules to be finalized so they can figure the game plan out. But when we look at the level of attraction inquiries that we received year-to-date through the end of March, we're double where we were in 2024. The number of proposals that we've submitted is double where we were in 2024. Down a little bit on the boots on the ground as of the end of March, but we've had a lot of activity since that time with visitors coming into the marketplace. So expect that number to be growing. Our business retention program is doing really well too. And our business development events are up significantly. So we've completed 8 through the end of March compared to 3 in 2024. So lots of growth that's happened in that area as well. So part of that is through the work that we're doing through our expanded economic development work that the county's supported through the Economic Development Corporation. And so thank y'all for that, because it really has allowed us to get out there. We are actively pursuing additional staff as part of those funds. We want to make sure that we get the right people in those positions. And so taking a little bit more time to hire those folks, but we want to make sure that we make the right choice.
What are the
for us.
titles of those openings?
There are 2 positions. One is Vice President of Business Development. So that'll be a person that travels predominantly, both domestically and internationally, to help with business recruitment. And then the other position is a project manager position. So with the level of activity that we have, we need to create some additional bandwidth on the team for project management purposes, and on the research side of it as well, to make sure that we're gathering great data that we can proactively push out into the marketplace to share the story of what's happening in our community.
So the project manager would be sure that the company, once it comes and that they do the things that they're supposed to do.
There would be
Per our
compliance.
agreement.
Yes, sir. There would be some compliance that goes along
We're
with that.
doing that anyway, but
Yes, sir.
now it's.
But it's
we
also
have a lot
just
more.
like working the project itself and the steps and making sure that we're being responsive to those companies, and doing all the things that we need to do to get the project across the finish line.
To get permits and those kind of things lined
All the
up.
things, yes, sir. So, I mean, even with the generation of the project proposals themselves. So from the very beginning, that project manager is involved in those processes, working behind the scenes on the team, making sure that we're doing the work that we need to do. So,
Okay, thank you.
much like you have a project manager that works on a construction project.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly what it is, yeah.
Making sure that all the tasks are getting done and the boxes are getting checked. We talked a little bit about this, I think, at the last one. We did have Standard Supply made a project announcement in March. They have a new facility that's just completed construction at the corner of Gateway Boulevard and Texas Central Parkway. So that was another great new addition to the community, a $10 million investment going in at that corner. And then in March, we had our trip to Germany, both on the business retention side of it, being able to visit with 2 existing companies with Zinc Power and Ooze and Oots hosting us, and then to prospect that we visited as well. And both of those have turned out to be great opportunities for the community that we are continuing to engage in. So there's been, those were very fruitful visits that we made. And it was helpful for us to visit them on their homeland to show our support for them. And they've in turn been here too. So lots of good activity that's been happening in the market. We're still seeing a strong pipeline of projects and projects that are interested throughout McLennan County, not just in the city of Waco, which is always positive. One thing I wanted to share with you, we have been doing some data gathering on information about the community. We're just completing the next iteration of our economic development strategic plan that'll take us 2026 through 2030. So we wanted to take a look back and see, look at some metrics to see how the community's been doing since that period of time, since we started reworking the way that we do economic development, where it's much more targeted with targeted industry sectors, the way that we work in doing those things. And so I wanted to just share with you, since 2006, we have helped facilitate 166 economic development projects. 92 of those have been expansions by existing companies. 74 of them have been new companies attracted to the marketplace that have created almost 14,000 new jobs in the market. And that is above, so when you think about that, that's taking into account what happened in COVID, how we dropped 10,000 employees, we recovered from that. And so that's a net 14,000 even on top of that recovery. We've seen $4 billion in new capital investment that's come into the marketplace, that's consumed almost 12 million square feet of real estate in buildings, and most of that has been new construction. The GDP for McLennan County has grown significantly. In 2010, the county's GDP was $8.7 billion. It's doubled, and it's $17.5 billion today. And even when you take into account the time value of money, so $1 in 2010 is worth $1.47 in today's dollars. So that $8 billion GDP is really about $12.2 billion today in today's dollars. But even when you take that into account, that's still a 43% growth in the GDP since 2010.
Yeah.
When you account for inflation, all those things. So that's pretty significant. And you know, what we talk about is that 2020 was such an odd year with COVID impacts and everything, but it turned out to be our best year of economic development that we had had at that point. And since then, we've helped facilitate 39 additional economic development projects in the marketplace, creating 4,600 new jobs, retaining 5,000 jobs with our existing employers, and stimulating about $3.4 billion in new capital investment, which is 67% of the total capital investment since 2006. So you can see how that acceleration has just really taken off in the marketplace. And so we were just really proud of the work that we're doing, the support and the partnership that we have with everybody working together to make that happen. The disposable income for McLennan County continues to grow. We have grown 27.5% since 2020. We're still lagging a little bit behind the state and the United States, but we're growing at a faster pace than the state of Texas and the United States are when it comes to disposable income. So we're catching up. We've been doing a little bit of leapfrog in that sense.
So in 5 years, it grew 27.5%.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And we're catching up faster.
And we're catching up. We're growing at a faster pace than those. Yeah. So that's something that's pretty significant. And when we look at the change in median income and median household income continues to grow for McLennan County as well. And we are again outpacing the state in the United States when it comes to that. So those are good things. You know, the goal of economic development is to help create prosperity for all, and that happens with incomes. And so the more opportunities that we have to bring high-paying jobs into the marketplace, the better off that we're going to be in people being able to afford good quality housing, to be able to receive higher levels of education, to be able to contribute back into society as a whole. All of those things are really important. But we know that there are still gaps in the community as well. And so that's where investments like the work site come into play, where we can take individuals and help train them to get into those higher skilled positions to where they can have those opportunities for success and prosperity too. So those are some of the interesting things that we've been working on, and, just wanting to, we are a data-driven organization and results-driven, and we want to make sure that everybody feels they're getting a good return on their investment. And so we appreciate the support that y'all have given us over the years.
Can you send that to us in written?
You bet. Be happy to share that with you. We've also seen a tremendous amount of workforce growth in the marketplace. So we've pulled some really great data, and we'll be able to send that over to y'all.
Be good to have.
With that, I would turn to the inWaco report if y'all are okay
Yes,
with that.
okay.
And so the report that you have is from January through the end of March 2025. We have had 6,303 new users to inWaco.com. We've seen over 18,500 page views too. I think the cool thing to look at with all of these things is where's the dollars being spent, and what kind of return are we seeing on that? We've started investing in pre-roll video, which means that when it comes up in their social media feed, there's a video that's accompanies about the community. And we've seen 105,000 impressions in that 3-month period. People are clicking on it. There's a completion rate of about just under 50%, which means that they're watching the whole video all the way through. So the more eyeballs that we get of people seeing and hearing about the community, the better. Most of that's occurring on personal computers. But when people are watching it on their phone, they have a higher tendency to click on it and to want to learn more. So we're looking to see what the trend is related to that, and if we need to make any adjustments on our side for that. Paid search. So if you go in there and if you go into Google and you do a search for something in Waco, like jobs in Waco or housing in Waco, there you'll notice that there's like a sponsored content that comes up first before it goes into the free stuff. So we pay to be a part of that, and are receiving really high impressions on it, just under 47,000 over the last 3 months, with an 8.15% click-through rate. That means that over 8% of the people are clicking on that so that they can learn more about the community. And that's great, because the average click-through rate is less than 3%. So we're definitely exceeding the return there. Some of the highlights, we are shifted the way that some of the dollars are being spent this year, just trying to maximize the amount of views and impressions that we can get. And so we're seeing some of those results coming to fruition. We're going to continue to monitor those to make sure that the dollars are being spent wisely, and that if we need to make adjustments, we can flex quickly on what that looks like. But one of the things that we've utilized this year is called AMP ID. And what it allows us to, it's called AMP ID.
Okay, yeah.
And what it allows us to do is it allows us to be very targeted with the types of individuals that we want to get information in front of through the site, and then we can communicate with them directly. So it will not only just, and this is very big brotherish, but it allows us to see who's looking at the site, and it allows us to reach out to them directly to say, hey, we noticed that you were looking at inWaco. We'd love to tell you more about the community. How can we get in touch with you?
And what's that called again?
The platform is called AMP ID, but we can send them direct
Saying
follow-up.
camps,
AMP.
oh, AMP ID, okay, AMP ID.
So it's a very interesting system, but it allows us to be really targeted and to have a lot more interaction and engagement with them. And the higher level of engagement, the more likely we are that they're going to end up making a choice for the community.
Interesting.
So thank you all for that. With that, that concludes my economic development and inWaco reports.
All right, any questions? All right. You want to go
We
to,
want to approve it?
yeah, is there a motion to approve that for recording purposes? Both those?
Go ahead. We're going to do it.
Motion to approve for recording purposes M1, M8A and M8B.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. All right, going to program project agreement.
Yes, sir.
With IDB.
04, no, what is that?
This should
On
be
the supplemental.
B1.
B1?
Bingo.
There it is, okay.
So you have this is an agreement with IDV Texas Central Park LLC and the Waco-McLennan County Economic Development Corporation. This was in support, IDV was the developer for the new Arca Coca-Cola Southwest Beverage building that on Texas Central Parkway. And in order to make that site viable for them, a sewer line extension needed to occur. They needed some help with it because it came in above where they had projected from a cost perspective. And this was an opportunity for us to support Coca-Cola Southwest, who's had a presence in our community for more than 125 years. And so a great project to help retain and expand an existing company and work with the developer on a solution that also expanded sewer service in the area and made it more viable for others too. So this is this grant request that was approved by the court for $375,000. They have submitted, IDV has submitted their draw request first and final for the $375,000, the county's portion of which is $187,500. The contract required that they complete the project within the designated timeline, which they did, and to have a facility investment of at least $17 million. Their total investment in the site was just under $20 million at $19,789,000, of which per the contract, there were some costs that were, soft costs that were not considered as part of that investment for our purposes. But total hard costs in the project, $18,197,000. So they exceeded their investment projection on that as well.
So I'm assuming that the tax appraisal is higher due to that, or will be?
I expect that it will be.
Okay.
You know, the appraisal district adjusts values based off of fair market value. And so we anticipate that, and in our market currently, or the last conversations we had with the appraisal district, they were coming in around $200 a square foot on industrial building space. And so at the 125,000 square feet range, I don't know that it'll come on at the full 17 million, but it should come on close to $200 a foot.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Costs $400 a square foot to build and comes on at 200.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
But I have
anything
no
else?
control over that. So.
No, you're right. None of us do.
Well, we know a couple of people on the appraisal district board, we can talk to them. Okay, any questions, anything else?
No, sir, that's it. And so our recommendation is approval of the draw request.
Right. All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the payment
Second.
request.
I have motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Just one comment, and I know everybody's working hard at it, but sure would like Industrial Foundation to be gathering up more land. The
Yes, sir.
longer they hold it, the best chance they've got to be able to have flexibility on how we trade that
Yes, sir.
property out.
We are actively working on some
Yeah, I know you
opportunities
are,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah,
So-
good luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Land's not gotten any cheaper lately, so
I know it, and it won't get cheaper.
Nobody's making any more?
nobody's making any more.
That, gummit.
The supply and demand.
And one other thing, the Economic Development Corporation had to move banks for transaction purposes.
Yeah.
That should be completed This week, the new account should be opened up, and so we should be able to finalize this draw request and the payments
Okay.
to the company later this week or next week.
Sounds
Just
good.
wanted to let y'all know that.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Chris.
thank y'all.
All right, Dustin, where we want to go from
Where
here?
are we?
Yes, sir. If we can go back up to item I2B, this is Waco-McLennan County Public Health District authorization of FY26 county funding allocation. And just as a reminder, back in May of 2023, we approved the agreement with the Public Health District where we were starting at $2.25 for each person residing within McLennan County. And that was to increase by 30 cents. So during the fifth and final year of that agreement, we would be up to $3.75. We are per person residing in the county. We are currently at that $2.85 level. So this is just a form they have requested that we send back, just stating that we will be at that $3.15 per person based off a population of $260,578. And do want to note that Stephanie Alvey will be coming to court either in the first meeting in June, or she'll be coming to a budget work session just to give an update on the health district, and then to answer any questions y'all have related to funding or the operation of the district as well.
And how often do they publish their financials?
Judge, they used to give them out as part of the board packets. I think that has recently stopped, but Heather has been working to gather those for us, and then Francis is going to kind of do an in-depth study of kind of our level of contribution versus the increase of the health district funding over the years as well.
Was it part of our agreement they provide those?
I'm not sure, Judge. I'll have to go pull that cooperative agreement.
Since we're a significant partner, I think it would be appropriate if we were able to look at those,
Judge, right, and we do have two board members, two members on the board. Commissioner Smith is on there, and Heather is on there as well.
Okay.
So we can be sure to get those.
Okay, thank you. And appreciate y'all serving on that. Yeah. All right, what's next? Oh, you need action on that.
Yes, sir.
All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the funding? Was that what it is?
Yes, sir. It'd be the funding level for the next fiscal year.
Okay. Motion to approve the funding level for the next fiscal year.
All right, I'll second that. Any other discussion?
What does this increase our overall then? What's going to be the increase that we're
Dollar amount.
dollar amount?
It was
285 to, what was it, 285 to 315?
30 cents.
30
About-
cents
That's
times
right,
2,
30 cents.
times
So
260.
the new annual contribution will be 820, right at 821,000 based off that population
So
number.
it's about a $78,000 increase.
Increase, yeah.
And we're actively looking at those numbers and
Yeah.
everything. We've got some questions and so forth.
Yeah, and some legislation might change too that could affect cost and, the president announced pharmaceutical costs are gonna go down, that we're gonna be treated fair across the world, and we'll see, so. Okay. We have a motion second, and if there's no other questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass. Okay,
All right, move down. I'm sorry, Judge, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
We'll move down to item K, grant proposals. K1 is our ARPA discussion. Under it, we have K1A, authorization of American Rescue Plan budget adjustment. Francis?
Yes, so our budget was set, of course, at the end of 2024, but so all funds were obligated, but as projects complete, we have the ability, limited ability to move any excess funds to other projects that are ongoing. And so Holy Road, that project is complete, and there is an excess budget amount of $6,288. And working with our consultant, Forvis, they've agreed that this is an eligible use to move these funds. We're moving it up to the HVAC portion of the downtown jail project. And so that was a project we had budgeted a portion in ARPA, but of course the amount to cover that project was going to come from other permanent improvement funds. And so our intent, and of course, this is your call every time, but as we do have projects complete and there's excess funds, we are thinking that's a good line to funnel the excess proceeds into, to save some on the county side. So,
Okay.
so this is a budget adjustment we're asking you to approve to move the excess funds from Holy Road into the downtown jail HVAC project.
Okay. All right, any questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve budget adjustment.
All right. Have a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
A2 is regarding the Prosper Waco Hunger Free Community Coalition Grant ratification of grant application. Heather?
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
What we have here is a request to ratify submission for a grant application that was submitted for the Prosper Waco Hunger Free Community Coalition Grant. And this grant is designed to strengthen the infrastructure of food pantries and food distribution programs in the community. And it's a $1,500 award amount. And if received, the department would use it to purchase a new freezer, refrigerator, some standalone shelving, and some bags. And this would support the sustainability of the department's current food distribution program with Shepherd's Heart.
All right, any questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the ratification of the grant application.
Second.
All right, have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Moving down to items K4 and K5 regarding the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services Title 4E grant. K4 is an authorization of Title 4E Child Services Welfare claim for quarter ending March 31st, 2025. And K5 is a Title 4E legal assistance claim for the quarter ending March 31st, 2025. Francis?
Not a whole lot more to add. K4, the federal reimbursement is $47.40, and on K5, that federal reimbursement is $41,659.17.
All right, any questions?
Motion to approve both claims.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, moving on to item L, L1 County Sheriff. L1A is approval of order declaring certain property as not meeting the criteria for salvage or surplus and authorizing the disposal of said waste property for vest and rifle plates. Ken?
Yes, the Sheriff's Department got with me, and they have a whole bunch of vests that are no longer of use. And so as per our past history, we request that we take those and have them destroyed.
All right, I make a motion, we approve that.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L1B is approval of order for acceptance of commercial kitchen equipment donation. Major Ives?
This goes along somewhat with the I-1D3 budget amendment that y'all approved earlier. Our kitchen out at the jail's in pretty poor repair. Some of the kitchen equipment, the approval for that budget amendment you did earlier is for an oven and the installation of 2 ovens. We've spoken with, negotiated, and been in discussions with Trinity, our kitchen provider, and they are willing to buy approximately $60,000 worth of equipment to help our kitchen out, which is going to include an oven, a kettle, and the associated freight and all that. All they want us to do is pay for the installation of those items. The installation was in that budget amendment on that I-1D3. So we would ask that this equipment has been ordered. It is a 6-week lead time. When that comes in, we would like to accept that or accept it now through official court proceeding as a donation. They are giving that to the county. It is going to be county equipment, but they are paying for that $60,000 for this equipment.
Okay, any questions? All right, if there are no questions, I'd make a motion, we approve that.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L2 is Road and Bridge Precinct 2, authorization of reimbursement for vehicle damage. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, we had a situation when our shredder was going along the roadway, and they try to be as as diligent as we can, our operators, but things happen when they hit rocks, and it did pop up and hit a rear passenger window of a person that was driving by, and it did break the window.
Is that a motion?
I motion to approve. Do we pay that?
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed.
L3, purchasing, authorization of online auction with Renee Bates, related ad, an order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing disposition of same. Ken?
Yes, we've put together this auction. We have a large number of vehicles, as you can see. And then just assorted accessories. If the court approves the auction will be held from May 27th, 2025, and close on June 10th of 2025.
All right, any discussion, questions? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Moving on to item M. M1's discussion and or action regarding any pending state or federal legislation. Judge, I don't know if you had any, I know we've talked about this earlier, anything to update?
Well, I'll just cover one thing, and there was a press conference in Belton yesterday about it. I attended it, but the approval of the Central Texas Water Alliance, which gives the authority to to be able to finance infrastructure and to get right-of-way on bringing water from East Texas into Central Texas to be additional water on top of what we already have. And well, it was primarily Bell County originated it, but asked us if we wanted to partner, and absolutely we did. And City of Waco talked to them. They're in, so it's a significant amount of folks out there, including our entities, including Fort Cavazos, that wants to be a part of it too, for their sustainability of water in a case of a national emergency. So governor signed it, and so now there'll be a board formed, and then it's got to be done within 90 days, and then from that they'll be going through the RFPs for bids on different parts of the project. So there'll be some headwinds in all of it, I'm sure, but we got the first step going, and I think it's a really great thing for the future generations of both Bell and McLennan County. And that's all I have.
All right, we can move on to item M2, selection and designation of public members of the Salary Grievance Committee. Mercedes, do we need to do anything today?
No, Dustin, we don't need to do anything with this item today.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to M3. This is the host court night discussion. I don't believe we have anything today unless anybody from the court would like to bring anything forward. Moving on to item M4 regarding the McLennan County Local Provider Participation Fund. And there are several items here. I'm going to read them in and let Heather step through them. M4A is a ratification of commitment declaration of intent for an IGT regarding the rural access to primary and preventative services. M4B is an authorization of an IGT under that same RAPS, Rural Access to Primary and Preventative Services Program. And M4C is ratification of an IGT under the Comprehensive Hospital Increase Reimbursement Program. Heather?
Yes. Okay, so the first, as Dustin said, is the ratification of a commitment and declaration for the RAPS program. The second is our RAPS IGT request. We do not have a balance for that, so we're going to request to transfer up to the balance in the LPPF on the date of transfer. That due date is Thursday, May 29th, with the settlement date of Friday the 30th. And the last is a CHIRP IGT, again, balance unknown, requesting to approve up to the balance in the LPPF on the date of transfer with the due date of Thursday, June 5th and Thursday, May 29th for the I'm sorry, with the settlement date of Friday, June 6th. My apology.
Okay.
And we'll be coming back next time with one more ratification for a commitment and declaration. I know that
There's been 2 discussed this week, so if there's any confusion, we'll be circling back with 1 more.
Okay. With pleasure.
So I make a motion to approve M4A, M4B, and M4C.
Second.
All right, a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
M5 is authorization of State of Texas Federal Surplus Property Program application for eligibility and related documents. So various departments, including the Sheriff's Office, MOB, Maintenance of Equipment, Road and Bridge, and Purchasing, participate in this Federal Surplus Property Program, where that equipment is transferred to eligible organizations in Texas for a small fee. So we just need a motion to approve the submission of this application and any related documents.
All right, if there's not any question, I'd make a motion we approve that.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item M7, discussion and/or action regarding space allocations. We have 2 items here. M7A is regarding a mother's room on the 3rd floor of the courthouse, and M7B is regarding office space, egress space for specialty court on 1st floor of annex building. TJ?
Yes, so M7A, regarding the courthouse, we've had several requests to create a mother's room within the space itself, and we found a necessary need for it. So we kind of had the perfect opportunity with Judge Minkowski moving back over to the annex building in the visiting courtroom to create such a room on the 3rd floor. The space is currently vacant, so we can definitely make the accommodations and make it a nice space for the incoming mothers in the courthouse. So we've reviewed this, recommended for approval.
Okay.
Do we want to do the other one at the
Yeah,
same
go
time,
ahead.
Dustin?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, M7B, as some of you are aware, due to the construction project on the Justice Center, we've found a need to remain in code compliance with the city of Waco to install some additional egress on the 1st floor of the building. So this would allow us to do that. Currently in the office that the specialty court is using where Amy is located now, we would kind of shift her over to where the vending machines were located on the 1st floor, and that would become much of a new egress for the 1st floor of the building. So we've reviewed this. John Irwin is going to take care of it through the construction project. We definitely recommend it for approval so we can stay in compliance.
All right, thank you. Any questions on either one of those? All right, what's the motion?
Motion to approve M7A and M7B.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to item M9, approval of order for acceptance of certain property donated by the 10th Court of Appeals. The 10th Court had reached out to IT and have 11 computer monitors, and they no longer need and would like to donate those to the county. IT does see a need for these, and they can become loaner models. So what's before you today is just the acceptance of that donated property from the 10th Court of Appeals.
All right. Is there any questions? If not, I'll make a motion we approve that.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, moving to item O, the McLennan County Downtown Jail Remodel Project. O1 is regarding the construction manager at risk agreement with John W. Irwin, general contractor. O1A is authorization of application for partial payment number 5. Ken?
Yes, sir. This partial payment covers the time frame of March 26, 2025 through April 30th, 2025. It's in the amount of $1,039,346. It's been reviewed by Brinkley Sargent. I believe TJ and Dustin have looked at this as well and should be good for good to go, good to pay.
All right, any questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
O2 is authorization of fire pump use agreement with the city of Waco. And TJ, I believe this needs to be deferred again. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, I'll make a motion we defer.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
03 is ratification of distribution easement form, easement and right-of-way documents with Encore Electric Delivery Company. TJ?
Yes, so this is just a ratification. We were kind of in a hurry, so we had to have the judge sign off on this one so we could get it back to Encore. You'll see an email come out campus-wide in the next week to week and a half, kind of outlining some electrical shutdowns that were going to have to take place. So this document was part of that to make sure it's going to happen in a timely manner. So we definitely recommend it for approval.
All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve the ratification of the Encore documents.
Second.
All right, have a motion second. No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
04 is regarding the McLennan County Downtown Jail remodel for courtrooms, agreement with Brinkley Sergeant Wigington, authorization of revised invoice number 28. Francis, did you want to cover this?
Yes, sir. On the first agenda in April, you approved invoice number 28 from Brinkley Sergeant Wigington for the downtown jail project. They have since sent a revised invoice. So there was a difference of $30,352.85 spread throughout multiple lines. And so we are bringing that back to you for approval again since the invoice has been adjusted.
All right, any questions?
Move to approve the adjusted invoice.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, we can move back up to the consent agenda and finish up with those pulled items. They were under E3, Human Resources. E3B was Records Management and Archives. And then E3C was County Sheriff. I'd like to call on Anna.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank y'all for waiting on me. So the first one was for Records Management Archives. This is a request to fund the dollar placeholder, outlining a new records clerk position. There is a need to help support file retrieval requests. This is the physical files that are being requested from offices like the district clerk's office, or county clerk's office, or sheriff's office. And so there's a lot of these requests, and it takes a lot of physical labor going and actually finding the files, pulling the files, delivering them to the department. And so they're needing assistance with this function. There's currently 2 full-time positions dedicated to that function right now. And then the other positions are assisting with functions like scanning on behalf of other departments, or actually trying to implement the new barcoding system, InfoLinks. There's a lot of labor involved in that setup. And so that's not complete or close to complete, and so they're needing this support for that physical file retrieval. The amount that we're recommending for budget, which is similar to the existing records clerk's positions, is $41,700. And then, of course, the funding for the remainder of the year would be much less than that, which is $13,900 is what we're estimating for the remainder of this current fiscal year, because the request is to have that start now and have it effective now so we can post to fill the position. That is just salary. I'm not including any benefits in the cost of that, but of course it would have benefits costs associated with that as well because it is a full-time position. And then I have other data there just for the court to review and consider along with the request, and that's information from peer counties, what their average staff count is for their archives department, and then a couple of the counties don't even have archives department because they rely on those source file creating departments to do their own file management.
So I guess the question would be, I know the size of the county is relative to the size of us. I don't know how much data or documents, rather, or both, that they are dealing with. In other words, how many touches, those kind of things. I mean, it could be somebody, some entity that has much more capacity and digitization or something. I'm just grabbing it, but.
That's right. We don't have a good idea of kind of the quantity of records that, one, they're producing, and two, that they're kind of digitizing or scanning so that they don't have this need for physical file retrieval. We did find out in kind of our research and asking questions of other counties is that quite a few of them have the enterprise case management system for their judicial departments. And so those departments are scanning their documents into that system, which is decreasing the amount of times they're having to request physical files from a department like an archives department, which that is now, just now, that implementation is only now starting with the counties. So there is kind of a foreseeable need to discuss that kind of scanning function for the archives department, but that's not now, that's not immediate, which is why this request is coming forward to help support that physical work right now.
Questions?
Well, in my conversations with everyone regarding this, we did put a placeholder in place, which is one of those $1 placeholders. I do see a need looking at it. I am very interested in that mechanism through Tyler that would allow that those records to be electronically transmitted to archives. And do I assume then that should a department need that record back, they can also request it electronically back? Is that correct, John, or not?
They wouldn't need to under the title.
They would still have it.
They would have access to it, continuing access.
So I'm very interested in us being able to move that direction and knowing that we could move that direction. And when we do, then perhaps either through attrition or RIF, we could reduce the needs for some of those positions.
Or it could be that we don't have to add people because we have tremendous growth. In other words,
exactly
one or the other.
Well, yeah, either of those. Yeah, growth would dictate that also, and with this electronic transmission, that would solve a whole lot of it. And so I guess at some point it'd be interesting to hear where we are with that. Not today necessarily, but where we are and how that would all work.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Judge, my motion would be to approve the request.
All right, is there a second? I'll second. We have a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. Anything else?
Yes, I had an additional item, E3C, for the county sheriff. This is a reclassification request. They have an existing grant manager position, and there's been a decrease in the grant managing function, but they are needing the position to assist them with coordinating projects related to technology implementation and training for that, ongoing training for that technology that they have. And so that reclassification, just in brief, it would be changing the position from a grant manager to a project coordinator. There would be a change in the pay grade from a Core 12 to a Core 8. The existing budget is $71,819. The recommended budget would be a decrease from the existing budget to $66,700. And that's, again, just to better utilize the position to help support all of the new toys the sheriff's office gets to play with for technology.
Any questions?
None.
What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Judge?
Yes, go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, I know we skipped around a lot, so if we can just confirm with Mercedes that we covered all the action items.
She is nodding yes. So if there's not anything else to come before the court, we stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.